My character in Sign of the Chromebook Man is the infamous Leave Chromebook Signed In Man, also known as Lixum.
Hey, what's up? This is Rex Wright speaking to you. All right, so I play Tyler in Sign Out a Chromebook Man, right?
Hi, my name is Hayden, and I play the titular Sign Out a Chromebook Man.
My name is Anthony. You might know me. I played the headmaster in Sign Out of Chromebook Man 1.
I am Jonah Foley. I played that bro in Sign Out of Chromebook Man.
The idea came about in October, and the three of us, of course, me, I guess Evan, Hayden, and Rex, our names are in the credits after all, weren't really friends at that point, but the idea of Sign Out a Chromebook Man was sort of the pipeline for us to become friends.
Like that was really the thing that brought me and my friends together, was making that movie back in goddamn October. Because what happened was, there's always this teacher, and the teacher was like, you better sign out of your Chromebook. And then we're like, would it be so funny if there's a superhero who did that? And then we were like, yo, what if we actually made this a movie? And now we're here. After all this, I'm sitting on my throne of fame and fortune.
We didn't get everything done, obviously. There's only, I think, a surviving 4.5 minutes. The original cut that I had was 9 minutes or so. It was, we had a good almost 10 minutes of footage filmed and completed and edited, but I lost it. So I really wish I do have that original 10-minute cut of the original Sign Out a Chromebook Man.
I mean, we put a lot into the original script, but it is old. It is an old script. And it is a different movie. I think we just had a different sense of what was really funny.
One of the major changes I note right away in my head is the prison scene. When Tyler is in prison, we filmed at a completely different spot. We in this new cut that you see used Tyler's basement, which worked pretty well, but in my opinion, the original Sign Out a Chromebook Man setting worked better, which was the school bathroom. And the school bathroom actually did look quite a bit like a prison. And, that's sad, but it worked well for our purposes, and fortunately we were able to find a good prison to use anyway. And we did change the plot around a little bit, and, little things like that, but
there were some different scenes. The prison scene, Leave Chromebook Signed In Man was not in the cell with Tyler, which I think is a good change. I think him being in the cell just lets the scene speak for itself a little bit more, because he was sort of just walking down the hall, and it led to a little bit of a slow start to the scene. So I think it is good that we ended up changing that. I think that's a good change. That's the biggest change I can think of right now. But I know that the fight with the BBC was originally intended to have a crowd before we decided that Leave Chromebook Signed In Man and Sign Out a Chromebook Man were basically unknown.
The old original SOOCM is, I actually don't know who played the headmaster before, but I wasn't involved in the original SOOCM. I was added on for SOOCM's remake. I'll call it, SOOCM 2025? SOOCM 25.
I think that the best way to describe it is draft. Like, it had the passion and it had the dedication, but very obviously the version released to the public, the true completed movie, is far superior.
That whole movie is pretty much improv. We had a basic skeleton structure of point A to point B.
There's a pretty infamous blooper that, if it gets included in this movie, I'm sure you'll notice it. Alright, so during filming of Sign Out a Chromebook Man, it felt a little rough at times, because we were only in the same place for about a week, so we had to kind of hurry through it. And it was a lot of fun. We did a lot of stuff on the spot, which I think helped the creative vision of the film, because we had the ideas of the characters, so the characters are simple and easy to grasp, which made them good vessels for improv.
Yeah, it was fun. It was amazing to finally be able to do the thing I've been yearning to do for like years of my life. You know, since I started high school, I've wanted this to be real, and now that it's real, I'm amazed. You know, I'm in love, frankly. You know, and it's so great to have it out there finally. Yeah. There's certainly some funny stuff like uh there was that one time. Yeah.
I was only there for the final, very, very final day of shooting. I remember I was in a coffee shop at the time, and when I got the call that I had been cast as that bro, I remember I jumped out of my seat. I was so happy because I knew how big that role would be and how much of a lasting impression it would have on the pop culture zeitgeist.
Another thing that I actually didn't expect to work out was our teacher helping us with the backstory. Our teacher, Miss Campen, we had told a little bit about Cyanide Comic Man, and obviously we couldn't give her all the details, but she knew the premise, the basic premise, and we told her, like, hey, we need a teacher, and we need a classroom, like, do you have half an hour after school? And then she actually did. So, it was just me, her, and Tyler. You know, we spent a good little bit there, just filming that little scene, and she did throw a pair of scissors at me, and, you know, it was fun. And, I don't know whether or not she's seen it now that it's out, but part of me hopes she does, and part of me hopes she doesn't.
Filming SOOCM, a lot of fun. Love filming SOOCM. I like making movies. I like doing that kind of stuff. It's fun. Great experience. Our director was very annoying. He was terrible. He'd boss us around. He'd hit us. He'd slash at us. Just a terrible, terrible experience. What I did, I played the headmaster. It was great. We had some fun times with SOOCM in the film. We did that. And then he lets him out of his house. What a kind soul he is. Really, just out of the kindness of his heart.
Probably my favorite scene to do, though, just because of all the improv, would have had to have been either the prison or any monologue. The monologues were a lot of fun, but I think the prison is really, really good. That's a good scene. That's my favorite scene from the movie, other than that, bro. But it was really fun. It was a lot of fun to do because we were just sort of sat there and we knew kind of what we wanted. We knew what we wanted to hit, but we didn't quite have a solid script there. We kept whatever was funniest and whatever made the most sense. So it ended up, the end product of the scene, I think, is very solid and just a funny scene overall.
What did I think when I saw the full thing of SOOCM? I saw lust. I felt sexual urges that I've never felt before. I felt complied by God to fornicate with that movie. And of course, when I say fornicate, I mean watch and enjoy that movie because it was such amazing to see it finally be real. The thing I've fantasized about, the thing that has kept me up for long nights for years. It's real. Crazy when that stuff. It's like when you're a kid and you're like you have a gun in the living room and you're waiting for Santa to come down the chimney and Santa actually comes down the chimney and you shoot him. You're like, holy shit, that's what it felt like. That is what it felt like.
I think my first time watching the official movie in full was a little bit after we finished filming. I think I probably waited a week or two to actually watch the finished product. And I didn't realize how much I was on screen, if that makes sense. Like, I didn't think about how much screen time Leaf Comic Sign In Man got. And with monologues and all, I feel like he, is the better character from the two of them. But yeah, I liked it a lot watching it the first time. The soundtrack was good. I don't want to, toot our own horns too much, but I did like it. And then I ended up showing it to a couple of my brothers, and they thought it was pretty funny, so I think we worked out pretty well with it.
I saw Sign Out of Chromebook Man in full, edited, a lot of times because I was the one editing it. And because of that, I also saw it before anyone else. Anyone who knows that there was an issue with the audio in the original version. It took me a few months to get that fixed and a new version up. So for that few months there, I actually was the only person who had a fixed copy of the movie and fully completed with me. But eventually I was able to get the new version up, and it's amazing. That's all I can say. Is I show everyone I can, and I'm proud of it.
I think SOOCM, when I saw it in full for the first time, it was a spectacle, man. Just a beautiful film. Lazily edited, I'll say, some slop in there. Just not great.
When I first saw the completed Sign Out of Chromebook Man, all that I could think was, wow. Because I was only there for the final day of shooting, which was just about 2 small scenes. So I didn't know what happened in the rest of the movie, really. So my first time seeing the movie was the same as any audience member's first time seeing the movie. And it's just really, really special.
Sign Out of Chromebook Man 2. It's in the works right now. I suppose for what I can say is when we finished the script for the first Sign Out of Chromebook Man in 2022, the first thing we did is start working on a second, because we just had so many ideas, so many things that got left out that we wanted to put in, so many things that, so many new ideas we had along the way we wanted to put in that couldn't fit anywhere else. And it's going to be bigger. That's the main way I can put it. Bigger adventures, larger scale, higher stakes, the works. It's a classic sequel, twists and turns, tragic stories. That's what I can tell you about Sign Out of Chromebook Man 2 is be excited.
Breaking news, all the characters return, as far as I know. So if we have any really, really big That Bro fans out there, yeah, he gets some time in movie 2. And, of course, Tyler. Ooh, I don't know if I can say that. Well, I do with that what you will. I don't know what our fan base looks like right now, but if you guys are really obsessive into digging into, theories and stuff, well, that's as much as I'll give you right now.
All I can say for Sign Out of Chromebook Man 2 is buckle up. It's gonna be bigger. It's gonna be better. It's gonna be a mighty fine sequel.
No, the script for SOOCM 2. Well, I can tell you a little bit. I did talk about earlier how it expands on Tyler. It has a lot of new characters, new jokes. It's a new script, and it's a sequel, right? And yeah, we actually did write a SOOCM 2 already, but this is a entire revision of that, just like the SOOCM one that is published, the completed SOOCM one. The sequel, 5 months after the original, is when it takes place in the timeline. So there's going to be some character growth. People are going to be a little different from when you last saw them. But we live with that. We live with that.
SOOCM 2, back again. It's gonna be great. You can look forward to a return from the headmaster. Only slightly. Only a little bit.
While we were on set, a lot of things we filmed were just a quick walk away, so we ended up walking around town in costume a lot, which was pretty fun. That was a good time, just going around. Of course, costumes are pretty simple. I'm sure if it was crazy complicated, it wouldn't have been as fun, but just to know that if anyone in town watches the movie, they might remember us walking down the street in the costumes. That was fun. And I remember specifically on the, what was it? The lab scene, the Sign in a Chromebook, or Leave Chromebook Sign in Man in the lab scene. I had actually woken up maybe 10 minutes beforehand, threw on my costume, and then we got right to it. And that led to a couple of funny little bloopers where I didn't really know what was going on. And I accidentally put in some pretty big typos into the computer. I think, if I remember that right.
Another really fun part of filming Cyanide Chromebook was the final fight, and all the camera tricks we had to do to make the BBC really seem big and seem like he could do a lot of damage. You know, we obviously had to use very amateur practical effects to make that done, but I think even if we didn't pull it off super well, it ends up looking really funny, which is the intention over making it look well polished. And, having people control his hands and his beak and adding in these huge, monstrous sound effects, that was really fun.
That's really it. I mean, like I said, we had a skeleton there of a movie, but pretty much everything we did was on the spot, on the fly, like lickety go, 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 you know?
As for Cyanide Chromebook Man's backstory, he was always, I don't sign out of my Chromebook, it's not necessary, no one's ever going to get into my Chromebook until, of course, someone did get into his Chromebook, and he lost all his files, and he became very angry that day, and he's kind of said to himself, from now on, everybody is going to sign out of their Chromebooks, whether they like it or not, and I'm kind of going to be the one to enforce that. So that's sort of how he became who he is.
My character, Thief Chromebook Signed In Man, has a very short backstory as of right now. When he was just 5 years old, he was on the verge of inventing teleportation via chicken, which is pretty huge. Obviously, teleportation is a big deal. But somebody decided to sign out of his Chromebook, which closed all of his tabs and just ruined his progress. I don't know if the guy operated in Google search bars or what, but it closed all of his progress. He lost everything. And so he had to start back from scratch. And of course, as any reasonable person would be, he was pretty freaked about that. So, it became his end goal to make sure that every Chromebook in the world was never signed out of again. Which puts him, of course, at odds with the titular character Sign Out of Chromebook Man, who wants all Chromebooks signed out of.
As for a backstory, he doesn't really have one, He's not really that, complex of a character. He's very simple. He's a very one-dimensional character, He's quite shallow. There's not a lot to him. However, I will say this, in the sequel, his character is going to get expanded a lot more, as some would say. He's going to get some lore, and I know y'all I know y'all want that, so y'all going to get that. All right.
I wouldn't say that he has very much of a backstory. He just kind of is. Like he is the guy that you go to for information because he seems to know everything, which, is why he's called that bro, because he is just a guy, but he's very special.
I remember some things that we were mostly using the original script. There's a lot of improv, of course, as anything. That it's a lot of what makes it especially funny is just things that were improv and switched around a little bit. But one specific thing we tried to honor that was in the original script we wrote back in 2022, 2023 was right as Sign Out of Chromebook Man returns and he's about to meet Leave Chromebook Sign In Man and the BBC and all that. It was noted in the script, Sign Out of Chromebook Man pulls out a comically large container of water from out of nowhere and drinks it. And we thought, well, how are we going to do that? And we went through a few different options of a big jug, the big water bottle, big Tupperware container. We decided on a big pitcher. And so we had to go to my buddy's house and get the pitcher, and it was awful because it was annoying just to get for this one little gag. We had to go all this way, had to fill it up with his hose. And we had to hide the other half of the tree off camera so that you didn't see me pull out the big jug of water. And the worst part of it was filming it because the water was not cold. It was hot, if anything. It was very warm, and it was just disgusting to drink. But it was really funny. It was worth it, obviously.
I guess that's all my questions. This is Rex Wright, aka Tyler Whitlock, signing out.
That's all I got. That's all I got. I don't got nothing else. That's all I got. Breaking news. That's all I got.
Yeah, I guess that's everything for now. Just gotta wait for SOOCM 2.
I rambled for long enough. I'm cutting that.